Now getting into our conversation for this morning, I am going to be chatting with the secretary, the assistant secretary in the Division of Settlements, Public Utilities and Rural Development, and that is Mr. Niall George. So special good morning and welcome to you, Mr. George. How are you doing?
I'm okay. Good morning, Tobago, and a special good morning to the residents of the district of Plymouth-Brackrock.
All right, great. So now we heard yesterday at the post-exec media briefing that the THA has been doing quite a lot of work in terms of its lighting initiative across Tobago. Just tell me a little bit about, just being able to have all of that accomplished. I think what was like $1.3 million spent there or thereabouts on getting all of that lighting infrastructure on roads throughout Tobago.
Well, actually, Kandace, it's $2.6 million.
$2.6, okay.
$2.6 million and 516 streetlights to be exact. The number is so large that, as I said yesterday, Tiantec was not prepared for such a large number of jobs. So, to the persons that have not seen the work done in their areas yet, I took quite a bit of time yesterday to explain and to highlight the areas that were completed and the areas that are to be done. And that is so that persons out there would know that they are coming in your direction. It's just about the resources to get the work done, but the THA has done its part and we have paid for the jobs to be completed.
Mm-hmm. So tell me, first of all, about the challenges you face in getting that program off the ground, because I think you mentioned yesterday that you met a list of roads that were tabled or had been submitted to Tiantec to get done, but were not done. So just take us through what happened there.
So some of these lighting projects have been outstanding since 2017. We met and we secured additional finances so that we could cover a substantial number of the projects. If you remember, when we came into office, we also met a outstanding backlog in housing grants. Mm-hmm. And we were able to secure funds to clear the backlog so that we could move forward. Now, the requests would always be more than the allocation. That is the world we live in. That is the expectation that we face. The more work you do, the more requests you get. So we try as much as possible to meet the demand. But unfortunately, it's a impossible task. We would never be able to complete all. But what we are able to do is, as the funds come in, we pay for the jobs.
So what were some of those roads that were on that list since 2017 waiting to be done?
There were, at this point in time, I cannot tell you those exactly at this point in time because I wasn't prepared for that question, to be quite honest with you. But there are some in Pembroke that Secretary B. Israel would have done when she was a minority councillor. And there's in Annesville as well. Mm-hmm. Huntley Trace. That is one that would have been outstanding for a number of years. Well, Dalaford to Campbellton as well, because my father is from Speyside. I have family in Speyside, and I remember as a child going there that roadway would have been dark. So the residents in Speyside, Dalaford, Charleville, they were very grateful, full of praise for the work that was done.
Mm-hmm. And what is the process like in terms of the THA sees that, okay, these roads need to be lighted, and what happens next? Take us through the process of being able to get it done so you could better understand the process.
Okay, so the process currently is that the requests come to the division via area representatives or the public at large. We then send the requests to Tiantec. Sorry. We decide on, we look at the votes, establish the amount of monies that we have. We then look at the requests, rank them on importance, and then we send them to Tiantec. When they go to Tiantec then estimate the jobs. Now, these estimates only last 4 months. So that's why we sit at the division, and assess the finances before we send it out. Because if you do not have the finances, you would then have, and it 4 months elapsed, you would then have to send them back to be re-estimated. And that's a waste of resources. Prior, the system was that members of the public would be able to send requests to TNTEC and they would estimate them. And sometimes these would elapse. So you would then have to send them back again. That would then create a longer waiting time as well. So we have decided that we would accept the requests in the division, and then we'd only send the ones that can be paid for to TNTEC. It's a smoother process, and it allows for us to get through the system, the process quicker. So it's to the division first, and then the division would send it to TNTEC. If you have been sending requests to TNTEC, TNTEC would then have to send it back to us. So we advise the public to send the requests to the division. Either you bring them in yourself or you send them in via your area.
And then how do the roads get chosen? How do we prioritize which ones? Because as you said, you have limited funds. So naturally you would have to prioritize which ones get done.
All right, so we look at, based on the length of time outstanding, we look at the usage of the area, we look at the, as you may know, Kandace, unfortunately, crime has been increasing on the island. So we look at the importance in terms of the criminal activity in the area, and that's the basis of how many persons are going to be affected by the job as well. And that's the main basis of how we make the decisions.
And what's the relationship like with TNTEC? Do you have a good relationship to be able to work towards getting these things done?
Yes, we do. We have a very, very, very good relationship with TNTEC, notwithstanding that TNTEC is scheduled and falls under the Ministry of Public Utilities, but the managers in TNTEC have been very helpful. Most of the public utilities in Tobago all have been very cooperative. I get a sense that sometimes they get orders from higher up in terms of hindrances, but generally they have been very cooperative. Managers Giles and Hackett, they have been very cooperative in terms of the street lighting. One phone call away and you're able to access work schedules, you'll be able to answer questions that the public would have posed to you. So I would like to thank them, and I hope that the relationship continues in a very good vein.
So give us an idea about what are some of those roads that, were the priority that you were able to get lit.
All right, so French Fort, for example,
yes.
that one goes without saying. That's probably Tobago's #1 exercising spot. And I myself use French Fort. One of the problems that you would have experienced with French Fort is that due to darkness, it had a limited window. When you got to, if you would pretty much have to exercise there in the morning or sneak a little bit of time from work, because most times at 6 p.m. it's dark. It's dark. So now you can traverse the hill at pretty much any point in time as long as you have company. The Kings Bay to Camberton one as well. That was a major stretch. That was the largest of the jobs. That was 700K approximately. And that was one that was very outstanding. As I said, I have been going to Speyside all my life, and that road has been very dark. If you had some kind of mechanical problems between Delaford and Speyside, it was terrifying. So yes, we are very proud of these two jobs.
And so what else is on the list now to be accomplished?
It's quite a long list actually, and the thing about it is we have been able to touch pretty much everywhere across Tobago. As I said, it's $2.6 million. It's a lot of money, and it's money well spent. But the thing is, it's not only about street lighting, it's about electrification, because there are some areas in Tobago that some people generally did not have access to electricity, and it was very important to us to make sure that this basic commodity this very important commodity was being able to be accessed by residents. So we also have some rural electrification, and well, in Orange Hill, Trace Patience Hill, this one is ongoing. We have the Milford Paradise in Bonaccord that was completed, and if you think about this, you would think of Bonaccord being a very urban area, and,
Yes.
and you would be shocked to know that the conditions that some of these areas, residents in some of these areas are under. There's Easterfield Road, Mason Hall, well, as I said, Huntley Trace, Arnersville, completed Mary's Hill Wim, completed Crown Trace, Charlotteville. No, Mary's Hill Wim is outstanding. Crown Trace, Charlotteville, outstanding. Lady Smith Trace, Mariah, outstanding. Daniel Trace number 2. Dinette Trace number 2, Mason Hall, outstanding. Church Lane, Mason Hall, outstanding. And Cliff Road, Pembroke. Well, that one is completed.
Do you have an idea or an estimate of how much of our residents in Tobago are still without electricity?
I don't have the figures that are accessible right now, but it's a small number. It's a very small number. But the thing about it is, as villages expand, that's where the problem comes about, and the cost associated to electrify areas. Sometimes it's 150,000. In the grand scheme of things, it's $150,000 isn't much money, but to someone now starting a home, and with the escalating cost of building a home, 150,000. Some of these persons, the house, that's half the price of the house that they're building. So it's very difficult to afford. So that's where we have to step in, and in the expansion, you would have 5-6 families wanting to construct, and that's when we have to say, well, yes, this is a wise investment and an important investment in the island.
All right. So is there any other developments where electricity is concerned that the division is looking at?
Well, as I said before, TNTEC is really a 6th schedule and under the Ministry of Public Utilities. So our role is with coordinating and enhancing and filling the gap where necessary. The development plans for Tobago, those plans would have to be found out from TNTEC, and they aren't sharing those plans with us. We have a public utilities meeting that is held once a month, and in that meeting we bring the public utility stakeholders together, and at that point they are able to share timelines for projects so that we don't have people stepping on one another's toes. So we have WASA, TNTEC, Beaver Mobile, Digicel, PTSC, and we all bring them together. We bring them all together, and we have cordial conversations about the plans and so forth.
Now, I'm going to get into the other public utilities in just a bit, but I also want to find out in terms of, renewable energy and so on, because I know that there have been instances where we have tried in it's very, very small amounts with solar-powered lighting in throughout communities and so on. Is this something that the THA is exploring a bit more, or are you just leaving it to private citizens to do if they want?
Well, there's a problem with solar in terms of control with the excess electricity and how it would be rated with TNTEC. And until there's a definite policy with that, it would be very difficult for us to get into any major policy where that is concerned.
But is it something that the THA, that your administration is willing to look at?
Definitely. I mean, alternative forms of energy are the way to go. That is the future. And as I just said, you are seeing the amounts of monies that we have to expend from the taxpayers' coffers to deal with electrification. And if there are alternate forms that would be cheaper and much more convenient to use, then that would definitely be the direction to go. And we have been looking at designing we have been looking at alternate forms of power in our designs, because in the home program, we have been looking at alternative materials, and definitely alternative sources of power have been looked at.
All right, great. Well, Mr. George, we're not quite done with you yet. We've got a lot more to get into. So viewers, please don't go anywhere. We got to go for a break, but we'll be right back. Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates. Viewers, we are continuing our conversation this morning with the Assistant Secretary of Settlements, Public Utilities and Rural Development. So good, Mr. Niall George. Right. Now, before we went to the break, we were speaking a little bit about the lighting that's happening around Tobago. A lot of the streets that were dark are now getting to see some lights at night, which is great. But I want to get into some of the other things where public utilities are concerned, because that's your portfolio. That falls under your purview, right? So we had a lot happening recently with WASA and the Minister of Public Utilities coming to Tobago, and whether it's to launch the booster stations and so on. And we are continually seeing that breakdown in conversation or breakdown in relationship between the Ministry of Public Utilities and the THA.
Yes, Kandace, and I'm not one to complain much, and I'm not one to look for unnecessary fights, but I'm also not one to take disrespect very lightly. Last year, an invitation was sent to the division for myself to be present in the opening of 2 booster stations. It was sent on Friday, and Saturday I got a phone call to say that it was a mistake. Since then, recently we have seen the opening of 2 further facilities. We are seeing the Member of Parliament for Tobago East and West present in these openings. No one from the THA, not myself, not Secretary Pollard. No invitations were extended. And I'm saying that that is definitely not good enough, because if you looked at the Goldsboro, there's a water treatment plant to be built at Goldsboro. Consultations were held. Members of the THA were absent. They went around in a circle, only to realize that in order to access the grant, they had to have some tenure to the land. At that point in time, they had to come right back to the THA because the land is vested in the THA. Meeting was held. It could have been a petty situation, but that would have done nothing for Tobagonians. Within 2 weeks, they were able to secure tenure to access grant, so that the treatment plant would be built to help the residents of Tobago. We in this administration are here to ease the woes of Tobagonians, to advance the cause of Tobagonians, and the unnecessary squabbling is not of us. Now, with that being said, at some point in time, you must put down your foot. I remember in the days of Mr. London and UNC in government, you would be hearing disrespect every Monday morning. So I would not have expected to be in this situation at this point. Probably it's because elections are in the air or something, because they are all honky-dory in front of the camera, but behind the scenes, it's a totally different situation. Totally different. And so, I would like Tobagonians to take note of that.
So if I understand correctly, so they are continually leaving the THA out of these conversations about developments that need to happen in Tobago to ensure water gets to the residents, but yet, when they have to, almost like when they need the land, then that's the only time that they come to the THA. And what are those conversations like when they come to the THA? And is there even any sort of attempt to try to mend some of the broken relationships or try to make it better for the future? Like, give us some insights as to what goes on behind the scenes.
Well, not really, no. But the thing is, us wanting development for Tobago probably is to our detriment politically, but it's just us. It's just what the TPP is about, and we would definitely not stand in the way of any development for Tobago. I mean, Mr. Gonzalez is the Minister of Public Utilities. He is in the cabinet which is responsible for Trinidad and Tobago. But what we are saying is there's a respectful manner in which to do things. And we are just asking for the respect that we deserve. You were elected into office, so were we. The people of Tobago have chosen us to guide the path of Tobago, and the people of Trinidad and Tobago have chosen you all to guide the path of Trinidad and Tobago. And we are just saying there has to be an amicable way of doing things. It can't be just because you are the minister, you just come into Tobago, do as you wish. That's not the way it's supposed to be done. And if you are unsure of the way it is supposed to be done, you can ask the Chief Secretary present, which is Honorable Fadi Chavez Augustine, and you can definitely ask the Chief Secretary past, who was Mr. Orville London, because he would have gotten on the media every Monday morning to stress these inconsistencies.
And, how do you feel about that whole situation where, the minister sort of bypasses the THA? Because even when we questioned him a few weeks ago when he wasn't here in Tobago to open the booster station, he said that because it's a sixth schedule item, it's just a government project, he doesn't necessarily need to have that conversation with the THA.
So what more do you really need me to say about the situation? Mr. Gonzalez just pretty much stated the attitude towards Tobago by the central government. And to me, it's very unfortunate. I wish it was not that way. I am here to work with anyone for the development of Tobago and Tobagonians. And I can tell you that there is no hindrance on our side. We are always willing to work with notwithstanding the political differences, because to me, politics, it's election time. You do what you do, the people decide, and then after that, we're supposed to work together to the benefit of each and every one on the island.
And then, of course, when it comes to WASA, we continually see the problems where the roads are being damaged by WASA. And there was that MOU that was there in place for how it should be fixed. It expired, and there's been no reestablishment of that MOU over the last couple of years. What has been that conversation like? Because all we're hearing is that it's trying to be worked out, but we're not really hearing the details about what's going on. Because at the end of the day, the THA gets blamed for the state of the roads, and it is a cost. It's a cost on the THA, it's a cost on the public as well when the roads are in the state as it is.
So, WASA in their repairs would damage road. In the conversations, they are suggesting that they provide the material and we provide the equipment. But in the damaging of the road, we are providing nothing. And it is unfair that we have to repair these roads after you all have damaged them to repair the pipelines. To me, the job is not completed until you have repaired the roads. And I think that it's very political, because they understand that the first persons that the public get angry at are the THA officials. The Secretary for Works is saying you're not fixing the roads, but the responsibility really lies with WASA, and they are negating their responsibility and pretty much throwing it onto us. We already receive a very small financial package for the year, and those resources could be used to help in other places. Grace Walls meant so much damage from flooding in 2022, and you now have to take these sparse resources to fix roads that have been damaged by WASA. To me, it's wrong. And it's just to me, it's just a political ploy. They understand where the anger would be, and just pulling the strings from central government.
Now, I also want to talk about data in Tobago, because telecommunications connectivity it's just as important as electricity now in our day and age. If we want our businesses to advance, if we want our tourism industry and so on to advance, we need to have that infrastructure, that data infrastructure there to support it. But we also know that Tobago has not been in the best position. What is happening in the background? What is the conversations like to get Tobago to that place where the private sector can upgrade their individual infrastructures to match up with the rest of the world?
Well, Digicel has been working on the Deep Blue project, right, which is a higher infrastructure position, and it is expected to be launched soon. So I can tell you there are good works in the background, and there's a lot to be looking forward to.
So we will, because I want to get this from you clearly, will we still have problems where a tree falls in Toco and then we're without data for a while? Will we still have problems where there's a fiber break somewhere and a hotel does not have data connectivity for a few days?
As long as the Deep Blue project is completed, those problems should be problems of the past.
And then what about in terms of the strength of the bandwidth and all of that? Because all of that matters too.
I cannot answer that one precisely because I do not have the information at hand for that. That would be a conversation that you'd have to have with Digicel to have the intimate information.
Mm-hmm. But you all are having those, you all are continuing the talks with them.
Yes, we are speaking with them, but there's only so much that they will allow us. We are only privy to so much. There's trade stuff, and they wouldn't allow us too deeply into their business.
And give us an idea, what are some of the challenges that they present to you? So when you say that, these are some areas in Tobago that are without connectivity and so on, and you would like to see those areas get connected, what is the response that you get?
Well, Kandace, to be honest with you, that conversation hasn't been had at this point in time as yet. There are obvious reasons in terms of the number of persons living in the area and the business cost in getting things done. So that would be the main one. But as I said before, those intimate conversations pertaining to, really, Kandace, when you look at the entire island, there are very few areas that does not have connectivity. Mm-hmm. And the problem with connectivity is one that, as I said before, Digicel would be better suited to answer that question.
Okay. And now coming back down to this division itself, what are some of the other goals, other than the street lighting project that you have to complete? What are some of the other goals that you guys are hoping to complete by the end of this year?
Well, with the home program, we intend to do 14 homes for underprivileged persons, the people who are in dire need, people who would not, under normal circumstances, be able to construct or own a home. Mm-hmm. And that's the main one that we are looking forward to. We are also aiming to get the Shervan housing project off the ground in terms of start of construction. It would be done in a phased manner. Now, one of the things that we met when we came here, none of the housing projects that we met when we came here have a certificate of completion. So a lot of persons may look at it and saying that things are taking a very long time to get off the ground. The reason for that is that when we aim to get the project off the ground and carry it to completion, and when I say completion, I mean a point where we have a certificate of completion and responsibility for the housing lots would be handed over to the homeowners. The division is currently paying millions of dollars to upkeep divisions projects because of no certificate of completion. And we have brought all the stakeholders together. Tongue and Country did not come. We have environment, TNTech, WASA, to get exactly what is necessary for these housing projects to be brought to completion. And we keep, as I said, we keep regular meetings so that we would not have the problems that past executives have had.
All right, great. Well, I want to thank you so much, Mr. George, for being on with us and for giving us some insights into what's been happening in your division, especially with public utilities, because we know that's a little ticklish topic. And we hope that you continue this conversation as we go on.
Okay.
All right, great. Well, viewers, we got a lot more coming up for you on GMT, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back after this break.
My Standard 5 students across Tobago, allow me to pray for you. Merciful Creator, as our students prepare to write their SCA exam, I thank you that their value is not based on their performance, but on your great love for us all. Cover our young ones in your precious blood so that they can finish strong on this leg of their educational journey. Restore to their minds everything they have diligently studied so that they can respond to each question to the best of their abilities. Help them to remain calm, confident, and conscientious in their capability, and firm in the knowledge that no matter what happens in that exam room, you are there in their presence always. Grant each student peace of mind so powerful that it will cast away all anxieties, all uncertainties, and all doubts. I now plead with you to not only bring them success in this test, but in the many tests of life that are sure to come their way. May our students continue to walk in your goodness, in your guidance, and in your grace. Amen.